If you have an interest in horses and love learning more about horses, the horse industry, teaching, or even managing your own horse business, then you're in the right place. We would love you to join us on our mission, which is to improve the lives of horses around the world through the education of riders, handlers, and trainers. So get comfortable, listen in, and enjoy.
This has been another episode sponsored by Online Horse College. If you haven't had a look at the wide variety of equine-specific accredited courses, then go to onlinehorsecollege.com and I'll see you over there. Our conversation at Horse Chats today has been brought to you by Equitana. Equitana is now celebrating 20 years of bringing Australian horse lovers everything they love, including equine entertainment, exhibition and competition. So join us on the 15th to the 18th of November in the heart of Melbourne to witness a packed program including the main event, full flight, dressage freestyle, All-Star, The Way of the Horse, and an Australian show jumping record attempt which has been held for almost 39 years, as well as the best equine retail therapy with more shops than Melbourne Central. So after we talk to our guest today, which is Sophie Emerson, go to equitana.com.au. Now, Sophie, our guest today, we're going to talk to her a little bit about SJ Equestrian, which is a new riding centre she's just started. She's a full-time equestrian coach and started her own riding school business on the side. How are you today, Sophie?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Look, Sophie, I'm really excited to talk about this because it's something that a lot of people, they probably think about, dream about, want to do, but just don't take that step, and I'm sure it's not going to be all rosy. I'm sure you're going to be able to tell us times that it hasn't been rosy, but, I think good on you, first of all, for taking that step, starting your own riding school. And yeah, I'm really excited. But before we start, your favourite quote, what's that one?
So mine would be a Shakespeare quote, and so it's, "Our doubts are traitors that make us lose the good we oft might win simply by fearing to attempt." So I guess that sort of runs alongside me starting up my own business. A lot of people probably think, oh, I'm not good enough to do it or I'm not ready yet, but I'm sort of just really trying to have a go and not doubt myself and jump in and go for it.
Yes. Yep. And it is a risk take. It's not a life-threatening risk-taking idea. And there is risk in it. But, you're in there, you're giving it a go. And because you've taken the risks, you get those rewards.
Definitely,
yeah. Now, Sophie, I'd like to talk about the idea of starting. We often talk about how we started with horses, but when did the idea come to you about having your own riding school?
So it sort of grew quite authentically, really. I'm living in a sort of a rural area in Sutton, just outside of Canberra, and there was a few neighbours around that are sort of interested in riding, and I have 2 ponies that I've had for quite a few years now who are really lovely and quiet, and I've always sort of talked about doing all my EA coaching, so I figured may as well get that done and start letting the kids have a go on the horses that I've worked so hard on for years and let them experience something that I sort of loved as a child growing up as well.
Because you already work as a full-time coach now. I mean, people will often go from a full-time job and then do a bit of part-time coaching on the side. So how far is your business that you work in to your own business, driving-wise?
So my own business, SJ Equestrian, is located at my home. Mm-hmm. So the horses live at the rental place that I live at, and then all the teaching happens next door in the arena that I hire, where I work full-time at Forest Park Riding School, is about a 35 to 45-minute drive from here.
Yep. So your employers at Forest Park Riding School, they're quite happy for you to start your own business?
I think because of the sort of, they're not particularly close to each other.
Yes.
So I think any clients I'm getting out here in Sutton wouldn't probably travel that far to go to a riding school elsewhere. So I think the market's quite different.
And I think that's an important consideration. It's not just up the road round the corner because your employer might worry about that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well, Forest Park is quite a large riding school. We have 35 horses there and lessons all day and lots of group lessons and all that sort of thing, whereas what I'm doing from home is, just 2 ponies and a couple of afternoons a week and slowly build on that, hopefully.
Yep. All right. Now, if you were going to have someone work for you, all right, within your riding school or, even where you work, and people might come in, and you always start with horses and you don't have a lot of experience. So experience aside and qualifications aside, what sort of core skills and character traits do you think they need?
I think to be a coach, you definitely have to be really enthusiastic and friendly, especially teaching children. You need to be able to make them feel quite comfortable with an animal that, is a lot bigger than them and can be a bit scary initially. And then as well as that, you need to make sure you're prepared, but also ready to act on your feet. Sometimes the ponies don't do quite what you're expecting them to do, so you need to be able to adjust the lesson accordingly or, find a way to make the child feel as though they've achieved something in their riding. So able to take initiative, have a look around, observe a situation, and be able to create a fun and safe environment is probably the most important things, but also, ready to work hard and be involved in everything with horses. I guess it's never just, sit on all the prettiest ones or whatever. You have to be ready to teach the kid that's petrified or clean the stable or help with the sick horse or that sort of thing. It's all part of it.
Okay. And I'm thinking about the whole adjusting lessons. If you get someone in and you find that they are very scared, and sometimes people come in and they're scared because it's a big animal, and sure, you can understand that, but sometimes people can come and be extra scared because they've been on a horse and had a fall. What sort of exercises, what can you do to help those people just improve their confidence? It's worse than a beginner because a beginner's going to maybe lack confidence, but someone who's already had a negative experience and had a fall very early, they're going to be worse than a beginner confidence-wise. What can you do?
Yeah, definitely. So when they come and ride with me, we always start on the ground. So, they take the time to groom the horse and I make sure that they're really comfortable just being around him and handling him. We'll often give some carrots or, that sort of thing, tack up. Then they always lead up to the arena. I don't like to put people on in an open environment to start with. And then if someone's particularly nervous, I'll always start them off on the lunge. And I've, done quite a lot of work with my horses to get them really well voice trained. So I often just show them, that I can stop the horse for them by telling them woo and they'll stop. So, if they ever feel unsure, I can just take control of the situation for them, which I think is quite reassuring to some people. But I always as well make sure that they understand how to stop and how to, that they can hold on to the saddle if they feel a bit wobbly and explain their position and that gives them their best balance. To make their ride as easy as possible. But I think you have to be quite good at reading people's body language as well, because people won't always say if they're nervous, but obviously you don't want to keep pushing them more and more if they are quite nervous. If I can see that they're a bit nervous, lots of repetition, just nice basic exercises like steering, and I'll often walk beside the horse until I can see that they're really kind of asking to do a bit more.
And I think that's something that people miss. As a riding instructor, you're so busy teaching, this is how you do a 20-metre circle and this is how you do the correct diagonal. But if you were going to teach riding instructors particularly about confidence and nervous riders, what sort of body language are you looking at?
So I guess I would be looking at, speak to the person. I like to try and keep them talking because often they'll give away if they're not quite able to keep talking or something, that probably means they're quite nervous. If they're all tense through their body or wanting to grab at the saddle quite a lot, or if they're really tight in their reins and really wanting to pull on the horse, sometimes they'll be gripping in quite a lot with their legs, or quite hesitant to ride away from the instructor. They might want to stay right on your side. So obviously the more your sort of time you spend with riders and a particular rider, you'll be able to pick up their certain things that they give away that they're a bit nervous. But yeah, just the normal sort of body language that they might be a bit tight or tense or reluctant to do something, or, sometimes little kids will look over to their parents a bit if they're feeling a bit nervous. That's probably the main thing. And often I'll read my horse's body language as well.
Yep.
My horse will often give away if the kid's not feeling particularly comfortable. And then we just take it a bit steadier for a while until I can really see them just relax and feel confident.
Yep. What do you think the best thing is about teaching these riders?
Oh, I just get a real kick out of them improving. Like, it's been working on something like, understanding their rising diagonals or getting a canter transition or something like that. And they finally get it and their face lights up and they're really excited. Then I find that super rewarding. I also find it really rewarding that, my main teaching horses are horses that I've had since I was a child, and I sort of trained them all myself. So I find it really special that, a horse I work so hard on can then go and give another child so much joy. So I really enjoy watching my horses look after their riders as well. I think that's really special too. Yeah.
Now, this whole teaching beginners, because it is a skill in itself, okay, teaching beginners. Yeah. Who's helped you along? Has that been a little bit of trial? Because, just talking to you, it's obvious that you've taught quite a few beginners and you're very good with teaching people to get more confidence. You're good with starting them off on the ground, I think is particularly good for beginners, and, just getting that little bit of rapport between themselves and the horse and the exercise that you're doing and recognising the body language. But did someone teach you this, or did you go through training to teach beginners, and this is specifically to teach beginners, or has it been a bit of trial and error?
I think it's sort of a bit of all of the above. So since I was quite young, in high school, I used to go to a horse riding camp in Cooma, and I would teach there. It was mostly just trail rides and that sort of thing, but I guess that gave me quite good exposure from a young age to pick up on, managing horses and children. And then sort of from there, I've, ridden horses a lot myself. I've worked at dressage stables, so sort of with a lot higher riders and higher level horses. And then I've had really good experiences at Forest Park, getting to know lots and lots of different people, different ponies, all that sort of thing. But I think, a lot of it is just I try and often relate back to myself. Like I will often say, I remember when I was learning this and it can be quite tricky or whatever. And I think that kind of helps people feel a little bit more at ease.
Yep.
But it also, helps me remember what it was like, and then to try and feel a little bit of empathy with the riders in what they're trying to understand.
Yes.
But, so I guess I've picked up little bits and pieces from everyone. I try and do, watch lots of lessons and ride in lots of lessons and all that sort of stuff, and take home what I did like and didn't like from different people's coaching styles. But I think it's just, there's no magic secret. It's probably just lots of hours and lots of practice, and lots of asking the kids how they feel as well. Often they're quite ready to tell you, but if you don't ask them, they sort of won't tell you.
and getting it from you, Sophie, I think a lot of passion there too. It's very, like watching lessons, it's very easy to just go home early or go and get a coffee somewhere but not actually watch lessons. But to be the type of person that spends the extra time, watches the extra lessons, asks the kids what they think. I think that itself is, quite a bit of passion there just to find out more about the industry that you're teaching in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Tell us about horses, because obviously, you've got a couple of quiet ponies that you said you've had for a long time, but if you were going to look for another horse now, how would you go about it? Yeah. What type of horse would you look for?
It's a really tricky one, actually. Like I kind of always am scrolling through the Facebook feeds and the horse deal magazines and whatever, looking to see if anything pops up, because I think sort of, I don't know, some people call them your unicorns, the perfect horses for your beginners. Generally, people don't really want to sell them, or if they sell them, they're probably not in a budget that I have. But I think, in terms of looking for a good school horse, I'm just looking for something that doesn't have any vices. If it doesn't have all the education, then that's completely fine because I'm happy to put the time in, but probably just that nice, calm attitude to start with. And then a lot of the training I'll sort of take on myself. I have a few kids that have been riding my horse for a while now that have a fair bit of ability. So I'll offer them sort of free rides to come down and just take it really slow on my upcoming ones. And we just do lots and lots of practice, because it's a really different thing for them to go well for an experienced rider compared to go well for a child that has no idea what they're doing.
Yes.
So I do try and start exposing them to children, but in a very, very controlled environment, and everything's nice and slow. And I'm a really big believer in not setting the horse up to make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not going to put them in a lesson with a beginner before I'm really sure that they're, that they're really familiar with everything that we're going to do, and I'm right there and able to assist and that sort of thing. It's probably quite tricky to find the perfect horse. And probably if you do find one, they're probably quite old by then, by the time someone's ready to let them go. But probably just finding that really good attitude and friendliness, and quiet as well, and then building myself from there.
And you've made the training quite progressive. You said putting yourself on, you'd ride, and then you'd get more experienced kids on, and then possibly less experienced kids on, before you'd actually go through the steps of putting a beginner on, and I'm sure exposing them to lots of different situations as well. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I really don't want horses, some people kind of look at riding schools and the horses are a bit cheeky or really learn the routine and get a bit naughty about it. So I definitely want to make sure that that's not really the experience people have with me. So, I'm really extra cautious to make sure the horses are good horses as well as good riding school horses.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tell us about a case study, someone that you've brought on from a beginner or from a very nervous rider, that then they've gone on and, done something, even just a good canter transition or, gone on. Yeah, just can you think of someone there, just a bit of a story for us?
Yeah, so I have one of probably my first clients here were some neighbours down the road. So they have 4 children, and the eldest is 12 and the youngest was 3 when they started. So they all come along and have a little turn on my good horse Roo. And so they've been doing that for a little while, now, and they're all sort of different abilities. Some are really confident, some are a bit less confident, but probably a really special milestone with them. They took my horse Roo to a local show a month or so ago. And so the 2 oldest girls, one of them rode him in the rider classes and the other one led him in the lead classes. So I think that was a really kind of special moment.
That's good, isn't it?
For me. Because they were so excited, and I've been really blessed throughout my riding career to have lots of people kind of give me great opportunities to ride horses and that sort of thing. So it felt really special to give that back to some people in the community here and see how ecstatic they were to get their first horse riding ribbon and that sort of thing. So that was probably one of the most special moments I've had so far with my own horses.
That's good. What about just going back to your riding school? And I know it launched about 3 months ago. Is that right?
Yeah.
What do you think your biggest challenge was? Just talk to us about a big challenge that you have. And this is to educate people, to say, look, it's not just all rosy. Sometimes there are challenges. But I want you to talk about your challenge and how you overcame it.
Yeah. Okay. So there's probably 2 major ones. Probably the first was just myself, like thinking, am I actually good enough to do this? Is it going to be all too hard, or is this too much work? That sort of thing. So I really tried to surround myself with really positive people that would keep pushing me, and also setting down little goals saying, by next week I'll find a graphic designer that can help me out with a website, or by the following week I will fully pay for all my insurance, or, just breaking it down into the little steps. This week I'll order my saddlecloth, that sort of thing, so that it didn't feel so overwhelming to think, oh, who am I to do this? And then it just kept moving along until I was ready to go, which was really special. Probably another thing, which is, I think, probably quite a common problem in the horse community, was just having the funds to do it all. So I used actually my tax money back. I said, I've got this money. I'm going to use that. I'm going to go to the clinic to get all my EA stuff ticked off, and I'm going to use that to pay for my insurance. And then sort of after that, there's no excuses.
Yep. Now, are you profitable now? You've talked about the financial, but are you going into a business that's profitable?
Yes, I definitely am. I mean,
I think that's important, that you are profitable. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably just getting to the stage where I've paid back all my initial expenses.
Good.
Which, takes obviously a little bit of time. And I think the initial costs are sort of the biggest ones.
But that's not too bad, 3 months into a business and you've paid back and broken even. So, that's good.
Yeah, definitely. And I've been really fortunate. I think as though in the horse industry, it's all about making connections and being really friendly and being willing to chat to people and have a go. So my landlords here have been really kind to allow me to keep my horses here. And then I just approached some local people, and not the first person that I spoke to said yes, but eventually I got a yes to being able to hire Arena for a fairly low rate. So then, I had my ponies, I had my teaching arena, and then I was good to go.
Good.
That's, I guess, how all that worked.
What do you think then? You've been around a little while. You've worked in other schools, you've worked for other trainers, you've worked in a trail riding establishment. What mistakes do other business, or can you see things that you want to improve on that, say, another business has made?
Yeah, so sometimes I think people go too big too soon, or even if it's not too soon, I think just taking on more than their level of expertise. I think you sort of have to stay in your own lane a little bit. My sort of goal with my business is probably to work my way up to about 5 really great quality teaching ponies, and have a group lesson each afternoon with, maybe 4 kids in the class. And I think that would have me, fairly profitable. But I think sometimes a lot of the business I've worked on have taken on more clients than they can actually handle. And then that's when, you're having to get all these extra staff to handle it all. And that's when it's probably not quite as profitable anymore. So I think sometimes, even though big sounds amazing, I think keeping it small and really under control and really well managed can be more the way to go. Well, I'm hoping that's what I'll find anyway as I sort of progress with my own business.
Yeah, sometimes you get into the business because of the horses, and if you do get too big, you end up managing more than spending time with the horses, which is what you really wanted to do in the first place.
Exactly. And I never want to get so big that I don't have time to jump on my own horses and keep them really educated for my more experienced riders. I don't want them to be plodding around, paying no attention. I want to be able to get on at least once or twice a week on all of them and just give them a tune-up so that they're always feeling really good and really nice, quality, educated horses for children to learn on.
Yep. If you're an equestrian coach or a horse riding instructor, or even if you aspire to be one, have a look at the free video series for horse riding instructors on the Horse Chats website. Go there now. Have a look. horsechats.com. Sophie, what about books? Have you got time to read? Have you got a book that you could recommend to our listeners?
So I'm probably not a super horsey one, but one that I have, I do try and tick it over in my head often when I am doing things with horses, is a book called Animals in Translation by Temple Grandin, who is like an animal behaviouralist specialist, I guess. So the book doesn't necessarily just cover horses. There's often lots of cattle and dogs and that sort of thing mentioned in there as well. But it's all about understanding the behaviour of the animal, which I think is really important if you're trying to manage animals and make a business out of it. I think to be able to understand a bit more on how they're thinking and why they're behaving the way they are has been really beneficial to me.
Okay, good. And remember, you can find all the books recommended by our guests at horsechats.com/books. You can have a look at the guest page for the individual book they recommended, or just look at the recommended books by order of popularity at horsechats.com/books. What are you looking forward to now? Obviously building your school and expanding, but within a reasonable level. Anything else that you'd like to mention?
So mostly, building on that. I also have a lovely young horse that I've been lucky enough to ride from Jane at Aspen View Performance Horses. So he's just turned 5. So we've just put in our entries for the Royals. So hoping to get him going and do really well with him sort of in the upcoming shows. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of my personal goals at the moment. And then, business goals, hopefully by summer, maybe have a third really good quality teaching pony going. Have some fun, maybe try some new things like clinics and little one-day programs and get some of my kids and ponies out to some more shows and that sort of thing. Upcoming is all sort of on the cards at the moment.
Perfect. Yeah, we'd love to talk to you again too when you're doing that, just to talk about the pros and cons and some good ideas and tips, which I think you've been full of today. It's been really good.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, that's okay. Now, if you're going to summarise your whole philosophy about, horses and horse business and running a school, what would you say? How can you sum that up?
So I would probably just say you have to love the animal first. Mm-hmm. So, don't go into it because you're trying to make $1 million or anything. Yeah. I think, if you love the animals, then especially with teaching, the kids will, pick up on that, the parents will pick up on that, and that's what it's all about. It's about loving the animal and loving what you do. And then I think if you're going forward from a place of being really enthusiastic about sharing your love of horses, then I think that's where, you're going to make people happy and you're going to be happy yourself. Yep. I guess just to be patient and always learn as much as you can. No one's a complete expert. Everyone's still learning. So I think we always have to be open to keep learning and keep improving all the time. And hopefully that's what I'll keep doing. Perfect. All right. Now, Sophie, if people would like to contact you, they can do it at horsechats.com/Sophie Emerson or go to horsechats.com, search for Sophie. But how can they contact you if they're ready waiting right now? Yeah. So my website is www.sjequestrian.com. I'm also SJ Equestrian on Facebook, so you're welcome to follow my Facebook page or like my Facebook page and sort of see what myself and the ponies are all up to and what the kids are up to. And that's probably the easiest way to contact me. Okay. And what about a phone number and an email? They'll be on your website and on your Facebook page? Yeah. So the phone number is 0400 449 136. And through my website, there's a contact form page that you can fill in or just a message on Facebook as well. Perfect. All right, Sophie, looking forward to catching up with you again and talking about some more tips for running a riding school. And I'd like to talk to you about the activities you do as well. Definitely. Okay, thank you very much for your time. Now, if you're still there, you probably know that I'm absolutely passionate about education within the horse industry. That's why I host this podcast. My other venture is Online Horse College. Have a look now at onlinehorsecollege.com and I'll see you over there. Remember that our comments and instructions are general in nature and do not take into consideration your individual horses or your individual ability and circumstances. If you enjoyed this podcast, then please leave your comment below.